Welcome back to another team building tip with John Sgromolo on the Educational AD podcast. We're going to hear from John, but first, let's hear from our podcast sponsors, starting with Violet Defense. Violet Defense is dedicated to protecting our world from germs by bringing the power of UV disinfection to everyday spaces. Their patented technology enables them to harness the power of the sun to incorporate ultraviolet light into products and environments like never before. Whether you're ready to implement existing products, or if you'd like to explore researching and developing a custom deployment of their technology for your school, Violet Defense has the solutions and the experience you need. Thanks again to Violet Defense for sponsoring the Educational AD podcast, and go to their website at www.violetdefense.com. We also want to thank Sideline Interactive. We have a Sideline Interactive video score table in our school, and it is fantastic. You really need to check it out. It's becoming harder and harder to fund an athletic department, but Sideline Interactive's indoor scoring tables and video boards can generate $10,000 or more every year while creating excitement in the gym and the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. Go to sidelineinteractive.com or call 832-786-0302 to schedule a live web demo to see their tables and boards in action and see what these fantastic products can do for you. You can also email them at sales@sidelineinteractive.com. That's sales@sidelineinteractive.com. We also want to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame. The FIAAA actually has a Vital Signs Wall of Fame video board for their Hall of Fame, and I encourage you to check out and see what they can do for your school. Wall of Fame by Vital Signs has a mission to bring your school's legacy to life. They provide a variety of interactive touchscreen options and an extensive library of templates to make it easier than ever to recognize the athletic achievements of your students, both past and present. For ideas on how to showcase your school's diverse history and your proudest moments, visit www.vitalsignswalloffame.com, or to learn more and get started with your own digital Wall of Fame tribute, call 614-3589, or you can email them at sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. That's sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. We also want to thank Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack for sponsoring the Athletic Director's Toolbox segment of our podcast. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack are a quick, easy, and affordable way to collect comprehensive data that allows you to evaluate and improve your athletic program. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack also allows you to give the 95% of the players and the parents who really love your program a voice and help demonstrate the importance that a positive athletic experience has for them. Go to athleticsurveys.com and check out their testimonials. You should also call them at 1-800-738-6466, or you can email them at info@athleticsurveys.com to get started. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack. Let them help you take your athletic program from good to great. We also want to say thank you to Varsity Brands, including BSN, Varsity Spirit, and Herc Jones, along with Hometown Ticketing, simple and easy online ticketing, for their support of the Educational AD podcast. Welcome back, everyone, to another team building tip with John Sgromolo as part of the new Educational AD podcast. John, I know you're busy, but what do you have for us today?
Well, Jake, today we're going to talk about bringing the theory of leadership into practice. We're going to kind of bridge all that together. This is going to be the start of a three-part series. So for team building tips 3, 4, and 5, we're going to set the foundation here in episode 3, and then make sure you tune in to 4 and 5 to get the full picture. But we're going to talk about something called self-determination theory. One thing that I want to ask you, Jake, is who's the most impactful coach that you've ever played for?
Oh, wow. Most impactful coach. Well, there's, John, as you know, you've been an athlete for a long time. There's so many, but when you asked me that, the very first image that popped into my mind was my college track coach. And Long story short, he really found that perfect balance for me of kicking me in the butt and pat me on the back to encourage me and challenge me to be the best I could be. And not just as an athlete. In my senior year, I was a captain of the team, and that wouldn't have happened without his encouragement and his discipline as a coach.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So one of the things that we're going to talk about here with self-determination theory, let's start out first. So we set the foundation. What is self-determination theory? Okay. Well, there's two positive psychologists that came up with self-determination theory, Edward Deci and Richard Ryan. And what these two guys figured out is that there's three basic needs that every human needs to grow. Okay. Those three basic needs are autonomy, belongingness, and competence. Okay, so whether we're talking about athletics, whether we're talking about education in the classroom, growth in relationships, these are the three things that everyone needs to experience human growth. Okay, now our job as athletic directors is to facilitate these three needs with our coaches, with our student athletes, with our community. That's how we grow. So going back to your example of your track coach, you said, he knew exactly when to kick you in the butt, right? So what he was doing there is challenging you and giving you a feeling of confidence, right? He would challenge you to achieve a task, and then through that, you would be able to achieve the task and have that feeling of confidence. You'd also said he would pat you on the butt when you're doing things good. That gives you a sense of belonging, right? As an athlete, that makes you feel like you are a part of the team. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper into these three basic needs. And as an AD, here's what I want you to remember. I want you to remember the ABCs: autonomy, belongingness, and competence. And we're going to be in good shape.
Okay. For our listeners, great stuff from John Sgromolo, CAA. John's the county athletic director at Clay County Schools here in Florida. We're going to be back with more, but let's take a break and hear from a couple of our podcast sponsors. We want to say thank you to Sideline Interactive for supporting the podcast. We actually have a Sideline Interactive video score table in our gym, and it is fantastic. It's becoming harder and harder to fund an athletic department these days, but Sideline Interactive makes it a lot easier with their indoor scoring tables and video boards. They can generate $10,000 or more every year while creating excitement in the gym and the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. Go to sidelineinteractive.com or call 832-786-0302 to schedule a live web demo and see their tables and boards in action. You can also email them at sales@sidelineinteractive.com. That's sales@sidelineinteractive.com. We also want to thank Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. They've got a mission to bring your school's legacy to life, and they provide a variety of interactive touchscreen options, along with an extensive library of templates to make it easier than ever to recognize the athletic achievements of your school, both past and present. For ideas on how to showcase your school's diverse history and your proudest athletic moments, visit www.vitalsignswalloffame.com or learn more and even get started on your own digital Wall of Fame tribute. Call them at 614-981-3589, or you can email them at sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. That's sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. We're back with team building tips with John Sgromolo. John, really cool stuff so far. What's next?
So, when we're talking about autonomy with our coaches, it's very important to think creatively as an athletic director of how we can implement, feelings of autonomy with our coaches. We have to create these opportunities for them. So some of my questions that I have for you as an athletic administrator are, coaches meetings, for instance. When you hold a coaches meeting with all of your coaches, is it sit and get the entire time where you're standing up at the PowerPoint, you're going through 75 slides and no other coach says one word? You laugh because it's true. what opportunities do your coaches have to speak? How do they have the ability to address the entire room? These are things that can give coaches the feeling of autonomy. Some new initiatives. Many times coaches come to you and they might have a great idea, or they think it's a great idea. The way that you foster that conversation as an athletic administrator is very important. If someone walks in and you simply say, "No, that's terrible," you're not really giving them a sense of autonomy. There's a way of responding to that. Hey, I really appreciate it. Did you think of these potential barriers? And you can kind of lead them to see that it was a bad idea, but nevertheless, you never want to damper one of your team's creativities there. Other leadership roles within your department. Great leaders build more great leaders. So how are you utilizing your coaches to one, help the department, but two, build future leaders? There might be coaches in your department that want to be an athletic director one day. By letting them be the game administrator, by letting them take the reins every now and again. These are things that build the team that are autonomous. And then finally, when's the last time you've asked a coach what their opinion was? This gives them the feeling of autonomy. So for instance, maybe you're dealing with a situation where you know the answer, but you want a second opinion. Simply by asking, if Jake was a coach for me and I said, "Hey, Jake, I was going to make this move with Billy, this student athlete. I was dealing with the situation. What are your thoughts?" Simply by asking the question gives Jake buy-in into the process. So those are some things that you need to think about when working with your team. And autonomy is just one of three other pillars that we're going to be discussing. The next two are going to be belongingness and competence.
As I was listening to that, you noticed my chuckle a couple of times. I did have that 75 slide PowerPoint, but I did learn to allow our coaches and encourage our coaches to be the presenters at coaches meetings. Terrific stuff. We're going to be back with more from John Sgromolo, but let's go ahead and hear from our Athletic Toolbox sponsor, Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack is the sponsor of the Athletic Director's Toolbox segment of our podcast. Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack are a quick, easy, and affordable way for you to collect some comprehensive data that allows you to evaluate and improve your athletic department. Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack also gives the 95% of the players and the parents who really love your program a voice and helps demonstrate the importance that a positive athletic experience has for them. Go to athleticsurveys.com and check out their testimonials, and then call them at 1-800-738-6466 or email them at info@athleticsurveys.com to get started. Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Let them help you take your athletic department from good to great. We are back with John Sgromolo. John, you brought up the important component of developing autonomy in your coaches. What else should we share with our athletic directors on this point?
Well, Jake, our next two episodes, 4 and 5 of team building tips, are going to be belongingness and competence. So I would encourage everybody to tune into those. But lastly, I want to challenge everyone to this. As an athletic administrator, find creative ways to incorporate autonomy into your department. And more so, the second layer to that challenge is this: take a leap. You do something you've never done. And it can, as the AD, it can be very uncomfortable. It can be very uncomfortable to let someone else, quote unquote, run the show for a day. But I can promise you the benefits that you're going to get from giving your coaches the ability to have autonomy. It's going to be way worth the risk of stopping a meeting if things don't go well. So take that leap and give it a go.
John, as always, terrific stuff. If one of our listeners wants to reach out and pick your brain, what's the best way that they can get a hold of you?
You can reach me on Twitter at Coach Sgromolo, Sgromolo, or you can email me, john.sgromolo@myoneclay.net, or give me a phone call, 904-336-6946. As always, I would love to talk shop with everybody, and thanks for listening.
Team building tips with John Sgromolo every Thursday on the Educational AD podcast. To our listeners, remember these episodes are also being uploaded to our YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in. Come back again next week for another episode of Team Building Tips with John Sgromolo.